I wanted to chat for a moment to point something out um, separately from the main line of the lecture, and that's about notation when it comes to finding the derivative. So I'm going to go back to just the three examples that we did here in 2.8, finding the derivative functions for these three in parts A, B, and C. And I just want to point out just why notation is important, and then just exactly what I'm speaking to and how that could influence a test or a quiz and the points that I'm going to award for that sort of thing. So, kind of on the outset, a lot of students don't they have trouble with just why is notation important? If you get the right answer in the end, right? Isn't that what's important in math, that you get the right answer? Why is it important to have all the correct notation? And if you're maybe writing a sentence, if you have a sentence answer, why is it important to use the correct language and that sort of thing? So I think there's a good analogy when it comes to writing. So think, maybe you're in a literature class or history, and you've got some amazing insights into, whatever, essay or report, whatever it is you're writing about. You've really got some good ideas, but your spelling is horrendous. You can't spell. You're misspelling a lot of words. Maybe it goes even further than that. You're capitalizing all the wrong letters. Your punctuation is all over the place, right? Even though you have some really, really good insights into this, you're who knows, maybe you're writing about Shakespeare or something, or whatever. Maybe you have some really good ideas, but you got to be able to put them on paper, okay? And it needs to look professional and all that. So if you've got some really great ideas, but your spelling and your punctuation and you're having trouble breaking things into paragraphs and correctly, and okay, you're probably not gonna pass this literature course, right? They're probably gonna send you to a remedial, some remedial English course, or send you to to get some tutoring or something, right? So we need to improve that. Okay, so the same thing goes in math. What spelling and punctuation is to writing, that's what notation is to math. So what am I talking about? What am I looking for? Okay, so when we began this problem, we really haven't done a lot yet that I'm going to speak to, but just kind of where it began. So we've got the function. We know we need to use this formula, and we know we need to get this part right. So we're just kind of do that off to the side on its own, knowing we're going to put it back in. The problem really begins right here on my next page. So we plugged it in. We've got the other part. Okay, so we know where all that comes from. Notice that as we progress and as we simplify the difference quotient, I'm still writing an equal sign. I'm still writing f prime x. I'm still writing the limit as h goes to 0. Okay, so I'm simplifying this part. The h here doesn't change, right? We haven't done that yet. We haven't done the limit yet, and an equal sign is sort of carrying down an f prime x on the other side. We don't stop writing limit as h approaches 0 until we actually perform the limit as h approaches 0. So when the 0 goes in there for the h, that's when we've performed the limit. We don't write it any longer. Now we just have the function. Okay. Also, I kept writing limit as h approaches 0 until that point. Sometimes students will just work with the algebra, so they won't have any of this here. They'll go here to here to here, and then straight to there. So boom, 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 boom. And it's like, like the missing notation is, that this step is equal to this. But these are not equal. 2x plus h plus 2 does not equal 2x plus 2, right? However, the limit as h approaches 0, 2x plus h plus 2 does equal 2x plus 2. So I want you guys, as you're practicing these, there's kind of two levels. There's just doing the problem and getting the right answer. So that's kind of, step one. And you really want to make sure you feel comfortable getting correct answers, of course. But after you are comfortable getting correct answers, you want to look back at what you're actually putting on the page and refine your notation. Okay, you want it to be notationally correct. So something like saying 2x plus h plus 2 equals 2x plus 2. No, they don't. They don't equal one another. But the limit as h approaches 0 does equal this. Okay, there are some some different styles that are all true. I'm going to speak to that in a moment. What if I tried this way? What if do I have to do it exactly the way you did it? No. There is some flexibility that's still mathematically true. For one, notice that I wrote f prime x each time here on the left. A lot of times you see people not writing that. Like this is left blank, right? All these are blank. So this equals this, which equals this, and that's not written here, which equals this, which equals this. That's fine. That's notationally correct because all these are equal. It's also fine to write f prime x equals that, f prime x. That's fine. I would also be okay if you didn't even write the equals. You see that. Just this line to here, to here, to here. But you do have the limit, and you're implying that this is the same as that, and you're just cleaning it up as you go. Okay. Let's go to part B. And you see the same theme. Obviously I'm consistent in the way that I do them, pretty much. So I've got it set up, and then I'm just doing algebra. Algebra, 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 algebra. Haven't done any calculus at this point. So I'm just copying that limit. That's just coming along each time. Then finally I'm able to plug in the 0 for all the h's, and that's when I no longer write h approaches 0. And I'm saying that this right side is the same as this right side, which they are. One thing people might do differently here, you might choose to just work with, the algebra, and it's like implied that it's, sort of work on the side. So I'd be perfectly okay if somebody, even just wrote this, the difference quotient, didn't write any of this stuff, and just started cleaning up the algebra. So they've got all their algebra work, and maybe they make it to here, they cancel out the h's, and all they've got is that. But then, if this is all work on the side, you then need to go back and say, okay, now that all the algebra is done, we need to perform the limit as h approaches 0. So you then got to recopy all this, put limit h approaches 0 in front, and that will equal your final answer. That is exactly what I decided to do in part C, because there was, a good chunk of algebra there in the middle, and it would have been a headache to keep copying all that other stuff, especially with fractions inside of fractions. It's just a lot. So, okay, we've set it up. Let's get to here. We've set it up, and I say, okay, now this, I'm just going to focus here, and I've, made this circle and this arrow. You don't have to do that. But okay, I'm just going to focus there, and now I'm not writing limit or anything. This is on the side. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm just cleaning it up. But then I be sure, and I go back and I put it in, pick it up where I left off, and then finally arrive. And the final answer is over here on the next page. And then that's where I plug in the 0, so no longer write limit, and we got it. When you take a test, I'm not going to do it on quizzes, because you're still in that first process of just trying to get the right answers, this early. But by the time we take our midterm and our final, you need to have your notation cleaned up. You need to be at that level by the time you take a test or a final. Quiz, you're still in the middle, but okay. So I'm going to grade you partially on correct notation. So let's maybe a problem is out of 10 points, let's say. Then 8 points would be for just getting the correct answer. And obviously you got to show all your steps. 8 points just in working through the algebra and then plugging in the 0 or whatever it might be. 2 of those 10 points would be on correct notation. So I'll make that clear in the problem so you'll know exactly how it's weighted, because it might not be 10. It might be, this problem is out of 12 points, or this problem is out of 8 points, or who knows. I'll tell you what is weighted, how what is weighted where. But keep in mind, you are going to be graded on notation. I want you guys coming out of this course, going into Calc 2, not only with the ability to do the problems correctly, but to be able to present it in the way that we all present these things, in the way that's accepted and looks professional and that sort of stuff. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Wow, that took over 10 minutes. Wow, thank you for listening.